I am tired. I've been born tired. No, what's up, everybody? Make sure you guys hit the like button as soon as you get in here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you guys want to comment, or be in the chat or whatever. Feel free to do that. Also, if you guys want to check out any of my links, they are in the description for Twitter, for Patreon, if you guys are interested in that. Also, also, if you want to check out my link for BTCC, feel free to do so. That link is also it's in the description, but I did just put it in the chat, so you guys can trade up to a 500x leverage on that platform. You can also trade as little as a 2x leverage. You can honestly trade outright if you wanted to. So feel free to check it out. I do have a couple of things that I am doing over there and different moves that I'm making. So um, always excited for any type of growth that I can see, especially with some more recent plays that I made. Fantastic to see that. Um, and hopefully we can see more of the same, maybe even more aggressive, right? I was hoping for a lower price on XRP yesterday. And I think I said it in my video that I wanted to put through a leverage trade. Right now, it's still open ended. It hasn't gone through as a trade right now. Um, it's just still pending, a pending limit trade at like the $2.75 level. So there's always a chance that we could see that still come back. We could still see Bitcoin come back down to the 50 moving average, and XRP do the same. But you know, obviously whether it does or it doesn't, I'm going to be happy because I have long-term plays that are already still in there. I have all my XRP there. I just wanted to find another entry point into XRP, and I felt like that low point was an entry point, especially for a higher leverage. So very interested to see where things go. Um, but yeah, if you guys could, like I said, make sure you hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. If you guys want to chat, it is subscribers only, so feel free to do that. We do have 34 people that are here, so I'm going to put a poll for hitting the like button. Did you hit the like button yet? You said it's 11 p.m. in Australia. Well, I mean, that's pretty late. Hopefully, you're gonna get a good night's sleep. You probably never really get a good night's sleep. Always watching the markets. If you're invested into cryptocurrency and watching what things are doing, like I mean, it is 24/7, so you can still watch it while you're awake and you're off to work and doing your normal things. But during these times, we tend to see a lot of movement. It's just during the early morning times. Sorry, during the early morning times, we a lot of times we can see even more movement. So, and especially, obviously, I'm making videos and live streams during this time, so it might be difficult to stay asleep there. But I do appreciate you being here at 11 o'clock uh, p.m. It is currently 8:42 a.m. over here, so yeah. A morning from the Netherlands. Well, thank you for watching. Good morning to you too. I've been trying to um, find a way to like automatically accept users' activity. So like if you guys comment on a video and I see that it's a normal comment and not a spam comment, it will automatically get approved. I just need to find those normal comments and then automatically approve those people. The problem is that you have a lot of new people that comment and they I still have to set up automatic approval, or I'll have a person that comments one time out of my 300 videos or something that I can make a year. So it's like you set them up for automatic approval if they wanted to come back, but it's not a guarantee that they will. I watch the market while driving a semi. I mean, that's not necessarily that bad unless you are heavy day trading. Like if you have the markets up and you see where the markets are going and it's just like a glance type of thing, not necessarily the worst thing in the world. However, you want to make sure you're paying attention to the road, and make sure, especially as with a semi, you want to make sure you're paying attention to the road and not getting into any accidents or anything like that. So it would be better if you had like an audio thing to say this is where it is, rather than like, I don't know if you're day trading or actively investing, but you might want to stop every time you make an investment instead of doing it while driving. But it's great multitasking. Doing book work, kitten. Oh, doing book work, listening, not kitten. It says kitten. Doing book work, kitten, to you as well. Doing book work, listening to you as well. Well, thank you for listening and seeing what's happening in the news and just being here. It does I do appreciate it. 13:43 in the UK, and I'm supposed to be working. Well, make sure that you guys aren't getting fired or anything or getting in trouble. It does for me when I used to work a 9 to 5. It would suck to know that I could potentially make the amount of money that I was making at that 9 to 5 just day trading for that day. Now it's not a guarantee. There are times where I would be down and I wouldn't make that much money, or I wouldn't make as much. I would make like half the amount I could have made working, right? But the point is that there's always the opportunity to make more. And for your job, your 9 to 5 or whatever you're doing, it's limited to how much you can make because they tell you what your salary is and you only get a raise based on what your performance actually is. And if your performance lacks because you're deciding to trade during the day because that's the only time you can, that's what's difficult. The good thing I like about the crypto market, and I wish I would have kind of found crypto during that time because I wouldn't have had to trade during the day, right? I would have been able to trade and buy different cryptocurrencies at night or even at 1 in the morning. I could have done it at any time that I wanted to, but I was more into stocks and, um, day trading and making sure I'm in an active time period where the markets are a little bit volatile, can move quite a bit. Um, but yeah, I wish I would have found crypto at that point. Get to work, James. Nice. Hi, Matt. How you doing? Thank you for being here. I'm not day trading, bro. I'm diamond hands. Got you. Don't be that guy telling me to be paying attention. Don't be that guy. I will always be. I'm a stickler for good driving. Like I make sure I'm paying attention to absolutely everything on the road, and honestly, to be honest, I'm kind of zooming past semis because you never know what's going through, or what's happening, and um, how long they've been driving for. So no offense to all the semi truck drivers and all that. Like I just have to get past and then get into a space to where I feel like I'm out in the open by myself rather than even next to cars. Like I don't like to be next to anybody. I just want to be away from everyone else. So that's just the way that I feel. I don't 50% of the time it's the other person's fault when you get into an accident. So that's such a high percentage of the time. So and for me, I would say every time that I've gotten into any type of an accident, it's always been the other person's fault. I'm like I always keep my head on a swivel, but anything could happen at any time, right? You could make a mistake going right, going left, wherever you are, and it ends up being your fault. So yeah, I'm a person that's just always trying to keep my head on the swivel, make sure I'm in a safe spot. But that's just me. But I won't be that guy. You can be as less safe as possible. Um, what? Glad to see you're in good spirits. Yeah, I mean I'm in a really good spirit, chipper. You seem really chipper today. Uh, is that why you did that, or is that chip ER, like as in like emergency room? My nine to five is a means to an end. Just waiting on the mega pump. Exit plans are all set. That's good to hear. That hopefully you have a plan for whatever money you do gain from it, right? Because having an exit plan, I've said plenty of times, is super important. You know, for you to be a profitable investor, as well as being able to capture some, if not majority, of what you have as a long term trade. So, you have less taxes, and depending where you are, obviously, but you can have less taxes, 20%, maybe a little bit more, depending on state and local there. But you won't have to deal with the 40 to even 50%. Some places it may be even 60%, right? Um, so finding the best case scenario to where you gain the most money out of it investment wise, as well as being a part of a larger sector, something that's going to grow and be as big as some other sectors that people didn't believe in. um, I was just talking to someone about Bitcoin and how low Bitcoin was and the opportunity that people had to just buy that position. And you could have bought so many other positions, but mainly people will focus on Bitcoin. And that's kind of the driving force as to, um, you know, what you could have gained out of it, even though there's so much more that you could have gained elsewhere. Jasmine Coin, XRP, many others, right? What is it? Pepe, as it was at its lowest point, a $300 million market cap, and you're seeing this, get to a $5-6 billion market cap. Like obviously, you can gain so much in some altcoins, meme coins, all of that. But it's a way to show even the regular person that doesn't know about crypto what they could have gained, because everyone knows what Bitcoin is. They don't know what it. Not everybody knows what it does or understands it totally, but they know the price of Bitcoin. That Bitcoin is flying in different ways and it's worth a lot compared to being worth a little bit when they first heard about it. So when you talk about years ago, like years and years ago, a decade ago, right? When this was worth $2,000, maybe even less than that, right? Um, and many people approached you or somebody approached you. I heard about it maybe 3 times during that time period. It was like Bitcoin. I was like, what is that? They were kind of, nobody really explained it. They were just like, oh, you know, it's another form of investing. It's like gold, right? Or no, they explained it to me as if you were going to use digital money, and that was the way it was explained to me, because that's what Bitcoin was supposed to be. It's like a means to spend money elsewhere, instead of using physical cash or using digital cash in a way, right? Where it takes 3 to 5 business days to transfer and all of that stuff. And I was just like, no, I'm not wasting my money, the only money that I have as a college student, to buy this, or own this. I also don't know about mining it, so I'm not going to try and mine it, even though it wouldn't have been uh, expensive to have a rig and mine Bitcoin at that time. Um, but as we look at Bitcoin now, and we see Bitcoin and it being worth $113,000, even not even at the high, right? Not even at the 124, 125, whatever $1,000 price point. We're at a $113,000 price point, still substantial compared to where it was. Like, let me zoom out. Let me zoom all the way out. We're talking about December 2022. Or you know what? Yeah, December, November 2022. We were looking at low points here of $16,000, right? 15 or $16,000. What was the lowest point? Yeah, like 15,000, right? You could have, it gave you the opportunity to buy a Bitcoin, maybe 2 or 3 Bitcoin if you had enough money at those levels. It was, everything did come down to a low price, so it was very difficult to even have the traction to do so. um, but if it gave you the opportunity to buy a decent amount, you could have bought one, two, and if you would have bought in two, it would have been $30,000, but you would also be at 126, or sorry, $226,000 ish, right? For the amount that you decided to buy. So like that's a way of showing what opportunity presents itself, and it's not over, right? This is what I would consider still the beginning, because we're looking at a $4 trillion market cap. We're going to see a 5 to 10 to 20 to 30 trillion dollar market cap as we move along. Now, who knows what's going to lead that market? I'll give you a hint of what I believe is going to lead the market. It's XRP. It's not really a hint, I'm just telling you. I believe that that's going to lead the market, and we're going to see a $30 trillion market cap here, $40 trillion market cap. Bitcoin's still going to be up there, probably worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we're going to see bull markets, we're going to see bear markets, we're going to see lows and highs, but I don't think we're going to get to these lows again. If we somehow do get to those lows, you better be sure that I will have enough money to buy multiple Bitcoins at those levels, but I don't think we're going to see those levels of drops. I think at most we will see 50%. At most. But again, that's just my opinion. Again, if you guys want to, trade with BTCC, feel free to check out my link for BTCC in the chat. You can get a 10% deposit bonus. Extra bonuses up to $10,055, 40% lower trading fees, and you can trade all the way up to a 500x leverage. Currently, I have a 500x leverage trade, so I have a pending order or an open order where I'm looking to trade at this level. So I'm looking to do a 500x leverage on XRP if it gets down to $2.74. I also have a stop loss immediately, which is 0.1%. If it drops 0.1% from the price that I buy at, which is $2.74, I will get stopped out at that level. But it's only a $20 investment that I'm putting into it. Which at a 500x leverage will give me an order amount of about 8,800 XRP. And I would love to, like, if I edit this and look at where my profit target will be if I decided to make that order, and it somehow, instead of getting just to the $2.74 level, it does break out to maybe even just $3.30, we're looking at a $4,900 gain on a $20 investment. $4,900 gain on a 20 investment, which is only an increase up to not the all-time high, but just up to a higher point. If it somehow gets to $4, we're looking at $1,000 investment or $1,000 P&L. Now, again, that's not what I'm pushing for. Most likely, if it gets to a level of $3, I'll accept $1,000 profit for sure. But I don't even necessarily need it to get to that point, right? So a 500x leverage could give me a lot of risk, but I'm also only trying to risk a lower amount. So if I have a stop loss in for no matter what, I'm going to lose $24 there. $24 to potentially gain $2,300. I would take those odds any time. As long as you find the lows. These are the problems. It's like for XRP, I know I'm just talking a lot. That's the whole idea of being here. But For XRP, as I go into this position, like I wanted it to come down to, you can see my buy limit here. I wanted it to come down to about the 50 moving average. But what you want to do with a 500x leverage or a high leverage is risk a little bit of money, right? Make sure that you get stopped out if it goes against you, right? Don't just double down and triple down because you can lose everything in your account. But find the lows. If you can find or accurately find a low, you can make so much money. I've made thousands of dollars from 500x leverages, and I've only ever risked $100 total because I do 20x lever or $20 investment every time at a 500x leverage, and then you can make your move there. But you have to protect yourself. If you do not put through the stop loss, you can potentially lose everything in your account, right? Or everything that's not already invested, and that won't be good. So you protect yourself by saying, if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong, accept the loss, I'll live to fight another day. However, if I'm right, you know how much money I make? Hundreds, thousands, and now it just looks so much better. And it depends on reading the chart the right way, right? Just looking for different support levels, looking for multiple touch points, looking for a strong level. And I feel like that $2.70 level is strong unless we see a liquidation train or something like that. So I'm excited for that, but I don't know if that will hold up. We'll see. Because with the strength of some of these red candlesticks, it does have me worried that it is going to break through that. But I'm not too concerned because it's only $20 compared to the thousands that I've made. I started this account with $500. This account here with $500. And right now the balance, I don't know if you guys can see it, right now the balance is sitting at $4,479 and some odd cents, right? Give or take a few dollars or tens of dollars because the market is consistently moving. $500 to almost $5,000. And that's with being able to leverage trade effectively. Right? I put in this trade recently and I talked to everybody about buying at 95 cents for OKB, and I'm up on a 3x leverage. Imagine if you decided to do a little bit more than that. Imagine you decided to do a 10x leverage. Could have made a lot more money there. But I did it a 3x leverage at $95. It's currently at 132, 133, and I'm up $664 on my $578 investment. That's the reason I did a 3x leverage, is because I was willing to put in more money. You know, when I put in more money, like $1,000, you'll see here 3x leverage. When I put in a little bit less money, it could be a 10x leverage. This might be a little bit more risky. Some other ones, 2x leverage, 3x leverage, it may come back, but I don't see it going to those lowest levels possible because I know that it has a lot more promise in it. So that's why I did a 3x leverage there and a 2x leverage, because the investments themselves were a little bit more risky. But then I have others, right? 10x leverage in Caspa, 10x leverage in AVAX, and I'm up 350% or 291%. So I've been able to do a good job with leverage trading. Obviously, I don't want to see a liquidation train, but even if I do, I'm looking at 2x leverages, not all 10x leverages. Or not all 500x leverages. But I would love to see a 500x leverage go through for XRP and see where that goes to. But I'm really taking this point as a solid point. If it doesn't get to that point, then I'll stop the buy limit at some point. But right now, it's still there. Anyways, let's go into where the market is. I know we talked a lot for 24 minutes, and I appreciate you guys for being here and listening to me and all that stuff. But the current market is sitting at a 1.9% decrease in the day. It's at a $3.83 trillion market cap. Bitcoin's dominance is at a 59.1%. Ethereum is at 13.2%. And when we talk about dominance, altcoin season, we're looking at 41 out of 100. We are still not in altcoin season is Bitcoin season, or a little bit neutral, but still more towards Bitcoin season at the moment. Fear and greed index is 45, which is neutral. Would think that we have a little bit more fear, depending, especially with Bitcoin dropping from the 124 level and Ethereum dropping from about the $5,000 level. Would think we would have a little bit more fear. So I don't know how that's really functioning right now, because there's a lot of red in the market, from XRP to Ethereum to Bitcoin, even getting down to some meme coins. We have a lot of red that's in the market here today. Good thing is Chainlink looks pretty good. It's up by about 7% in the last 7 days, 3% in the last 24 hours. It's at a $25.26 price. So that's not bad. Litecoin, I would like to have a leverage trade opportunity for that, but I feel like I don't think it's too high. I just want to find a low for Litecoin before I decide to put through a leverage trade. I might end up doing just a solid 2x leverage on that, but we'll see. I'll have to jump on board with like a large amount and then do a 2x leverage rather than do a 5x leverage or 10x leverage. But it depends where it gets to. Shiba Inu coin, I feel like there's still a lot of promise there in the growth. So that might have to be a leverage trade as well. We'll have to see. Kronos looks pretty good in how far that has grown, but obviously it's coming back. It's down 14% in the last 7 days. MNT is up by 19% in the last 7 days, but 3% down in the last 24 hours. Let's look at some bigger movers in the top 100. You got Meme Core that's up by 20% or 6% in the last 7 days. OKB, again, has just been a phenomenal mover with all of the news. It says the circulating supply, there's 21, which is only 7% of the circulating supply, 21 million, but they did burn off everything else besides that 21 million. So that's not true as to where that is right now. Knowing that it has a lot more potential to grow and will never have more than 21 million coins that are out there. That's fantastic. But that's why I have that trade over there on BTCC, which is the only place that I've been able to get it. And I'm glad I was able to get it. I was really hopeful that I had the opportunity to buy it. I wanted to buy it outright and just buy a bunch, but OKB at a 3x leverage with $500 or $600 gave me the ability to buy like $1,000 or $1,800 worth, if that makes sense, while only risking $600 worth. Now, I was hoping that it would come back down a little bit further. So when we were looking at this, right, let me go over to BTCC. When we were looking at OKB at that time, I was hoping to see it come down and reach, maybe a 15 moving average, or, a, I don't know, a 200 something, right? I was looking for like the $70 to $80 price point where I could buy a little bit more. Yeah, around the $70 to $80. So between, 80 and, 70, 75, I was looking for that pullback so that I could buy a little bit more, because my investment that I wanted to make from the start was about 1,500, and I wanted to take it and break it into 3 spots. Right, that's why I did a 3x leverage as well. I wanted to break it into 3 spots. I wanted to see it potentially decrease a little bit more, and then buy my second level around maybe the 80-ish to 70 level. And if we saw more of a pullback, I would buy more at those levels. Like, I wanted to be able to buy 1,500 total, but I didn't want to risk 1,500 right from the start, because you never know, right? Especially with these things that really take off to $140 from a level of $40, they could potentially go back down to $40, and then you end up losing everything that you invested in it. However, it's showing the consistent growth because of the fact that only 21 million coins are out there, and the burns really was a big deal, in my opinion, and in many others' opinion, because now it opens the door for such higher prices at a reasonable market cap and no dilution. We're talking about getting to a $20 billion market cap which is not crazy for something like OKB that's attached to OKX. Um, and seeing that at a $1,000 price point, $1,000 per coin. Would love to see that. Uh, but I would have liked to have had more in there, because if I now take this and I'm like, all right, this does get to a $1,000 price point, or even 500, I gained $7,300 from it. I'll take it any day of the week, right? And I'll probably take my profit at some of those levels. I don't have a profit taking strategy here for leverage trading yet, um, but I could have definitely gained a lot more as I saw certain levels that I could have consistently invested in that. But yeah, things have been looking good for OKB. I'll take that. Chainlink again is up. Aero Finance is also up, but it looks like they're all like barely up by like 1% or something. So not much movement there. Let's look at the top 500. We got WikiCat. Don't know what that is. $157 million market cap. Virtually all the supplies, or a decent amount of supplies out there. $15 million in volume. I would imagine that's a meme coin. This looks interesting. Edge looks interesting. 137% increase. I don't want to buy at these times in the last 7 days. $147 million market cap with $59 million worth of volume. But the supply is only 20% out there, so could see that introduce a lot of the rest. But yeah. Have you guys bought anything in these down times? Seeing things that are falling. Have you guys bought anything? Good morning, Matt. Which cold wallet is the best to use, sir? I don't have any real recommendations because a I'm not a person that really stores a lot. I use the Ledger Stacks as a good wallet that I hold, things outside of everything, um, and don't really pay attention to. But that's basically what I use. I don't like the fact that the storage on that, there's not really much storage. So when I download, like say if I have, um, I don't know, 10 different cryptos, I have to have, say XRP downloaded on there. And when it's downloaded on there, it takes up space. And then obviously the coins in there do that as well. So when I get to a certain point, I'm like, I can't add anything else to this ledger because I have too many coins on here already. And I feel like you should be able to add way more coins than that. Like I should be able to add 100 coins if I wanted to. But no, I can't, right? I only have, maybe 8 or 10 projects that are on there, which is still great. I don't consider you, I don't really believe that you can have 100 long-term utility projects on there that you truly believe are going to have a major utility in the world. Now, I think there are a lot of utility projects, but are there going to be major ones and are there going to be smaller ones? That's the thing. And I think a lot of the ones that I do have are already sort of major in the markets and are going to be a lot bigger as time goes on. So they're going to be those bigger major ones. However, it's not a guarantee. So I'll just say that. But yeah, I just use the ledger stacks at the moment. I I feel like I never sleep. I hear you. I used to feel that way. Now I just feel tired like all the time. Like I feel like getting up and doing so many different things, especially during the summer where, you know, I felt like there were so many things that were happening where it's not just me getting, and right now it is still the summer. Um, but once the school year starts, I think things should be a little bit more calm. However, we're still going to have, things like swimming and basketball. The problem is, or the good thing is most of those things are going to happen, like after school time. Like it's not going to be in the morning time when it kind of affects everything here and what I'm doing here. Um, but during the summer, we have like swimming practice that happens in the morning. Also, it could happen at 7 p.m. We have basketball that we go through and practice, constantly, and making sure Harper's getting all of her stuff done for, trying to get prepared for third grade and whatnot. And um, same thing for Hayden now, as she's going to school, and it was just a lot to deal with at one point. But yeah, I feel like I never sleep, but I'm always tired. And I'm trying to get naps during the day, but then you can't get naps because it's impossible. You got to keep moving. And then also I'm trying to work out, and it's like some days I'll be like, I can't even work out today. When in reality, it may take you only 15 minutes or 20 minutes to get a decent workout, just something in. But I make excuses for myself, just like everybody else. Um, just got on what's going on with crypto. Yeah, just talked about what happened in crypto, or everything that that's happening in the market when it comes to the price action of everything. I do want to go through the biggest news in crypto and kind of see what the AI overview has to say there. I always like the breakdowns because they summarize everything. Guys, if you could make sure you hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. And again, hit the notification bell if you guys want more live streams and videos like this. Let's break $4 first. Would love to break $4, but um, I keep getting these questions, right? And I think the whole purpose of this video, I don't think we even talked about it. The whole purpose of this video is to really talk about the diamond hands mindset, right? I've been included in many diamond hands situations where people have said you have to hold forever, or have to hold for a very long time and never let it go, because these things are going to be worth so much more, especially when it comes to a stock like short squeeze. I've never been that person. I've always been a fan of finding ways for people to take profit, whatever place they feel like is good for them. There's a saying out there: if if it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to take profit, right? And I think that is very, very true. Um, Honestly, any gains are good enough to screenshot, which means that all gains will be good enough to take profit. But if you're trying to tell everybody, or you're so excited about the fact that you gained so much money, it's probably a good time to take a little bit of profit and maybe not tell everybody that you made that much money. So I've always been a fan of it. Should you hold to $100 or hold everything to $100? I don't think that that's um, wise for you to do. If you're holding from 50 cents and you have a decent amount, if you're holding from $1 or holding from $2, and you're seeing it get to $50, you're seeing it get to $60, or multiple levels where it can resist, it's not something where you have to hold it forever. I'm not going to ever tell you that. I want you guys to take profit where you feel like you can gain a lot out of it. You know, my I tell people what my profit taking strategy is and where I plan on selling some of my cryptocurrency. Um, my XRP, I tell you where I'm deciding to sell it at. I tell you all the time that $5 is my first initial level, which is not a crazy price. It's not at all, right? $5, while it is looking at hundreds of billions of dollars for a market cap, we're already at 180, 170, $180 billion market cap. We're going to get to a 250. We're going to get to a $300 billion market cap. So it's going to happen. We're going to get to a 500 and a $1 trillion market cap. So if my belief is that my level that I'm willing to accept as we move along is up to $100, and then keep a little bit left on the table for what the future can bring, why not wait until that $100 mark and diamond hand until that $100 mark? Well, that's not my mindset is to diamond hand to $100. Now I will diamond hand a certain portion to $100. I will diamond hand a certain portion after $100. But I also am a firm believer in taking profit, accepting your initial investment, being happy year after year after year, rather than being on the edge of your seat and saying, should I take profit now? Is this going to be bear? Is this going to be the bear market? Is it going to come down to 50 cents again? Are we going to lose everything that we've ever invested? Like, instead of having all of those open-ended, fears, not just questions, but fears, I like to soothe those thoughts and those fears by going, all right, I'm taking some profit here. That's what I do in my leverage trading account, in my BTCC account, and you can see how successful that has been so far, right? Where I try to take profit when I see things that are up a decent amount, especially on the higher leverage trades. On the low leverage trades, I might let sit there for a very long time and then eventually take profit as I see it hit certain levels. But the higher the risk in a way, the earlier the profit needs to be. And I'm not saying XRP is high risk. It's just when you see plays, especially because if it was high risk, if it was crazy high risk, I would have already taken my initial investment now, which I could do if I wanted to, and still have a large amount left on the table, like a very large amount left on the table. But I have my exit plan set to where I think it's going to get to and what I'm going to be able to accept. And that's how that goes. I see a lot of Elliott wave traders predicting a pullback to 60 or 70,000. The pullback to 60 or 70,000 has started. I mean, there's a lot of let me see. I don't know what to classify them as. People that are, there's a lot of experts out there. Let's just say that, right? A lot of experts out there that believe crypto market is going to fall to crazy low levels. There are a lot of experts out there that said that Bitcoin would not only go to the $15,000 level at those lows, but they said it would go down to $1,000. They said it would get down to $10,000 and that it would stay there for quite some time. And they also said that during that time where Bitcoin was experiencing bullish momentum for months, it might have been 4 months or 5 months, they also said that this is still the downturn in the market. This is still the downturn for Bitcoin. Now, for altcoins, they were flat, they were not moving, but Bitcoin was consistently rising. There are a lot of people that are wrong, a lot, and they will use, let's say, certain patterns and certain theories that have existed for years and maybe even decades, maybe even centuries, to predict what Bitcoin and what crypto is going to do. Let me be very, very honest with you and upfront and close. No one knows what crypto is going to do. No one has experienced it the way that we see it today. No one fully understands the impacts of these ETFs as well as all-encompassing ETFs or blue chip crypto ETFs or whatever. No one knows what the markets are going to do. They will guess, they will throw out a bunch of theories, and then eventually one of those theories will be right. I don't even know what the crypto market's going to do. I just know that we're going to see, Bitcoin season, we're going to see altcoin season, and to be honest, there's a lot of question marks even around that, where it's like, are we going to see altcoin season at all? Because we haven't seen altcoins explode, but maybe they're just taking their time. Maybe we have more of an impact from news or anything like that. No one 100% knows what is going to happen with crypto, how it's going to be implemented, how it's going to be heavily used or added into the economy. No one knows. So don't let anyone say that this is where the downturn starts and then all of a sudden you decide to get out completely and then everything runs. Everything, right? so many people told me that Bitcoin was done at $70,000 and it was going to get to the $70,000 level. That's the high point. It was never going to break $100,000. And I'm not a Bitcoin fan, but I knew that they were wrong. I knew that we would see higher levels. However, that was still just my opinion. Did I 100% know that that was going to be the case? In my mind, yes. But it doesn't mean that I'm always right. So I didn't get out of the market because I wasn't fearful, but it was creating a lot of fear in the market. It's just so sad to me that we have everybody out here that's saying this is exactly what's going to happen. I'll never say this is exactly what's going to happen. This is what I believe is going to happen, but there's still a chance it might not. All of this is a risk. All of this is a risk. Even when you were investing, let's say you were investing into the internet in the beginning stages of what the internet was. Like, all of that was a risk. You didn't know, nobody knew that the internet would turn out to be what it is today. Right? All these businesses, we didn't know that it was going to turn out to be what they are today. But we took that risk, or some people took that risk, while others decided to question it and say this is the end of technology and the internet's a fad and all of this other stuff. And it's like that now you can look back and go, you're dumb for saying that. But during that time, they were pushing out all this information and it seemed like they were right. Not saying that the markets were moving in a way that they were right. It's just there's so many people talking about it. They're so loud saying this is what's going to happen. You're like, well, it seems like they're right. But then they were wrong. Very wrong. So I don't know. Holding for more years. God willing my health. Willing with my health. Yeah. Let's break $4. I would love to break it. I've seen a lot of I read that. People are talking about the meme coins, meme coin wiki cat. Is it possible if you could look at it? So I did kind of look at it, even without um, reading that comment. I did kind of look at it. I brought it up on the screen. WikiCat here. It is sort of interesting. Um, Again, meme coins are here for one reason, and that is for people to make money. And currently, it is up by 66% today. There's no way that I would make an investment into that, even if it's at a $155 million market cap. I just can't. Right? Some people might, and you still could if you can potentially see it at $1 billion market cap. You can make a lot from it. But how much are you willing to risk on something like this that could potentially get up to that $1 billion market cap level, but still it's not 100% chance to do that. So there's a lot of people that will risk $100 or $200. You risking $100 or $200 is not going to end your investment career, but you'll be able to potentially see a 5x up to that $1 billion level. And if you do see it up to the $1 billion level, you're looking at 100. You're looking at $500. You're looking at $1,000, depending on what you invest, $100 or $200, which is not horrible, but it's also not life changing. So it all really depends on what you want to invest and what you're willing to accept. But again, it's a meme coin that currently sits with 6 zeros, 2849. Up 66%. And not only that, in the last 7 days, it's up 302%. So from these low levels of 601 and now looking at a 602 level, or even further than that, right? 7 and breaking up to the highest point, which is 604, 605. But now back down to 602 or 603. So still up 300%, but it definitely could have me worried. Majority of the supply, you see, 545 trillion coins that are out there versus the, circulating supply that's in circulating supply versus the 850 trillion coins that are out there in max supply. So, yeah, I mean, the volume isn't crazy high, but for a meme coin that I don't know how long it's been around. Let me see. Let me go to all history. So it's been around since 2022. It's just all of a sudden started to pick up. That's interesting. Did it get introduced on certain platforms? So MEXC, Gate.io, LA Token. Not anything notable. But yeah, I wouldn't invest into it, or I'm not going to invest into it. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. If you see something that I don't, feel free to do it. Oh, it looks like OKB is moving some more. It's at 134, almost 135. I'm up $700 on this investment. Are you selling? Are you? Give me a second. Uh, Under 100 for light. Hmm. OKB has been killing it. They have. Are you selling any XRP this cycle at $10? I do have multiple levels if it gets to a level of $10 within this cycle. Between $5 and $10, I'll actually have multiple selling points. Um, at $10 itself, I'll take another 200,000, right? 45 $45,000 at $9. I'll take 5,000 XRP at $8. I'll take some at 7. I'll take some at 6, and then 25% of my portfolio at 5. So I have selling points all the way up to $10. Not only at $10, but it's not a massive amount. $5 and $10 are probably the only levels to where I would accept um, a heavier amount, but between there, it'll be like 5,000 XRP or 2,000 XRP or something like that. So, if you want to see my exit plan, I think I just went through my exit plan in one of my recent videos, so you guys can check that out. Thanks for the question, John. Though, are you looking to sell any at those points? Like, do you have what's in your exit plan? Is it before that $10 level, or is that level to where you expect to start taking profit, or taking some profit, or take your initial investment? CRO dead? I don't think so. No, not at all. I mean, we just recently saw major movement for CRO. Like we go back to um, if we go back to coin market cap and we look at CRO, it's currently 28th by market cap. It's at about a $5 billion market cap. It's at a 14-cent price. $29 million worth of volume. I don't consider CRO dead, right? The highest point, if we look over a year, we saw the 60, or that's all history. Um, I think the highest point was like 90 something cents. Was it 93? 96 cents. All time high is 96 cents. All time low is 1 cent. Um, I have a lot of CRO. Would have loved to have more. I think I still have some stakes, so I'm gaining more as time goes on. Um, but it's not dead at all. I don't like the fact that they have all that supply out there again. So 100 billion coin supply out there again. Um, but it in the short term, definitely, it still has a lot of promise to get to that $1 level. And even in the long term, looking at $100 billion market cap, I think it can easily get there. And also, we could potentially see more burns that are happening, or a reburn, I guess, of some of that 70 billion. If you only had 5K XRP, would you probably hold for 10 years plus? Um, so if I only had 5K XRP, no. So there would be a certain portion of that I would hold for 10 years plus, and I think it would be about 1,000 XRP. I would split it into 20% of, or 20% blocks. That 120% block would sit there forever, just to really gauge how much I can gain in the end. Another 20% block could be there for the long term, right? Really, really long term, looking at maybe even $100 plus. But then the 3,000 in between, I would be looking at definitely a lot higher levels. Definitely not the $5 level, but it really all depends what you want to gain out of it, right? If you're looking to gain a crazy amount or, life-changing amounts of money, then you would look for higher and higher prices that it's going to get to. Instead of looking at the $5 price, you would look at the $10 or $20 price as your initial point, which would then give you, off of your first thousand, would give you $10 or $20,000, which could honestly change a life by being able to pay off bills, by being able to pay off loans, by being able to um, pay off car loans or credit card bills, whatever it is, right? You can change your life and give you something else that you really, really wanted, or even give you the ability to reinvest some of that money, right, into bigger and better things, if there is one. But then you would have the other 40%, the 220% that are left, right, in the middle, to where you can make those moves wherever you see fit. Um, and you can go in and out of positions and try and time the market if you wanted to, and just be able to gather more XRP or be able to gather more dollars as it's hitting highs and lows. But I would recommend finding an initial investment point for the first one, the first 20%, the 220% in between, to try and gain whatever profit you can gain short term as well as long term. Hopefully they're all long term. And then the last two, again, the one is forever, sits there to see what XRP will be in the end, maybe 10, 20 years, maybe even further than that. But then another 1,000 that will be for more of that longer term, just maybe after $100 per coin, maybe around the $1,000 per coin, maybe around the $200, $300 per coin, right? So that's what I would look at it like if I only had 5,000 XRP, because it's not to gain as much as somebody that has 100,000 or somebody that has 1,000,000. It's about you finding the best thing that's going to help out your life in the short term, long term, and ultra long term. That's my suggestion. But again, I think everybody's situation is unique, and it depends on where you stand right now. If you have a bunch of like debt, or you have things that you can pay off that can essentially give you the ability to invest more money down the line, then pay off debt first. Pay off anything that is not a normal bill first. If you have enough to pay off your mortgage and you feel as though the percentage is too high, which is the case in any mortgage that we've seen in the past couple of years, we're looking at 7% interest rates, and in some cases, and you're paying a boatload of money. If you can pay off that mortgage or refinance or whatever you wanted to do, that is priority, because the average that you can gain in the stock market is 5 to 10%. So if you were looking to take some of that money, put it into dividends or whatever, you might not gain the amount of percentage that you want. You might end up losing on the deal because you could have paid off your mortgage and saved 2%, because you only gain 5%, but your mortgage is 7%, so you gotta evaluate your entire situation and tell yourself what would be valuable in this moment. My average is $2. I'm up a few thousand, so I guess long-term hold for me. Keep buying the dip. You started accumulating 6 months ago. That's good. Yeah. Any dips that you see, if you have the ability to purchase those and be a part of it in a little bit of a heavier way, then yeah, go ahead and do that. I know it's a little bit of a tougher time, because for many people that are seeing XRP, there's a lot of people that are just getting in because they saw the hype and the FOMO and people talking about it. That's what I want you guys to kind of, your homework basically is to find a play that nobody's really talking about, but you're seeing a decent amount of volume that's going into, and a decent amount of promise based on the use case, and all of your research points to you being invested in that. However, nobody else is pointing to you investing into that, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have any outside sources that are like, hey, buy this position right now, right? Nobody's saying that. For OKB, as I saw that, nobody's talking about how people should make that move. Nobody's talking about the fact that they burned off 179 million coins, which is majority of their supply. Nobody's talking about that. So when I saw that, I was like, all right, it has multiple $1 billion market cap. It's connected to a huge exchange that sees so much money per day flow through that. And I can see the promise, and I can see the future even at a lower market cap level. It's a no-brainer for me, right? So I put all of those things together plus more, and I was like, that's really where it's going. I'm gonna go ahead and buy OKB, and look where it's been so far, right? And honestly, I think it's gonna go a lot further than where we stand even here today. So if you would have, been maybe involved in cryptocurrency and, not necessarily like watch my channel or anything, just, putting yourself into the world of crypto, you would have been able to find XRP at 50 cents rather than just $2. Even though $2 is still low, you could have found it at 50 cents. You could have found it at $1. You could have found it at $1.25 before all of these conversations and articles, and it was in the news, and it's in government conversations, and all of that. Before all of that, you could have seen it. So that's what I hope that people do with newer positions, because I'm always looking for newer positions that tell me this is going to be worth so much more, not just, because it's going to rise, but because. Not with this internet. Not with fiber internet. Absolutely not. It better not. Are we lagging? Or are we good? All right, we got 81 people that are here. If you guys could hit the like button, I would greatly appreciate it. I am gonna have to get out of here. I think we're gonna have to head out. What's happening in the markets, the stock market here today? And I have to get ready. We have a lunch. I need to work out real quick for like an hour, and then we have a lunch. We try and do lunch on Wednesdays, and just go out and eat some food. What is that? Definitely not doing that. I can't do that. All right. So guys, make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. I could probably go until no, because I gotta get ready. All right. Um, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, if you guys want to, learn how to trade in the in leverage trading, or just trying to get a sense of what you can do in order, because honestly, I'm not saying it's super easy. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world, but it definitely is something, as long as you're protecting yourself and you're making reasonable choices with your investments, you can make a decent amount of money. And the one thing that I'll see is that people get emotional, right? They lose a little bit of money and they're like, well, you know what? I've been wrong a couple of times, so I'm gonna let it sit and see if I can be right. And the worst thing that can happen is the fact that they end up being right when it comes back, right? That's the worst thing that can happen, because now they get false confidence with every investment that they make. It's not just one, it's all of them. So I've seen somebody go where they made $300 or $400 in a week, and they're like, all right, well, I have to be a little bit more aggressive now. I have a little bit of freedom. So then they take some of that money, they take $100 and they do it at a 20x leverage when all of their other leverage trades were 5x leverage. And I'm like, you're going completely outside your strategy. And then you're also going to give yourself the largest chance to lose. Probably, I don't know, what was it? 50% of the money that was gained. You're putting more money in a higher leverage, which is dumb. Putting less money in a higher leverage is smart. Putting a larger amount of money in a lower leverage play is smart. So, they tend to switch it up, and then when they lose all of that money, they get emotional to try and gain all that back and do higher leverages with the lowest amount of money they could possibly do, while also trading on emotion and lose what little money they had left. So you have to make sure you are disciplined in your strategy. You're disciplined in, if you lose money, accept it, right? I set a stop loss. If I hit that stop loss, I'm done. The only scenario to where I potentially won't is if I have a low X leverage, so it's like a 2 or 3x leverage, and I know that if I add in another 2 or 3x leverage, that it gives me so much more room, right? For a 10x leverage, if you add in more money down at the bottom, it's giving you the bare minimum of room, right? 20x leverage, the same thing. It's giving you a bare minimum of room, meaning that it could be wrong a little bit more and you still lose everything. So you have to make sure you have a strategy going into it. And if you need help developing that strategy, feel free to reach out to me on Patreon. We could talk about it because it honestly is a fantastic platform. And it's a fantastic way to take a small amount of money and turn it into a larger amount of money. It doesn't mean that you immediately use that larger amount of money to, buy whatever you're going to buy elsewhere, like a depreciating asset. No, buy more appreciating assets. Find another entry point into another play. Find the ability to maybe do a higher X leverage with a lower dollar amount, right? And give yourself more gains in the end. So hopefully you guys get what I'm saying there. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Check out my links down below and in the chat. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. See ya.